Coming soon to a city near you, Vinitaly Roadshow. Have you ever wondered how to attend Vinitaly for free? Are you a wine trade professional interested in a sponsored trip to Vinitaly International Academy or Vinitaly, the Wine and Spirits Exhibition? Coming soon to Princeton, New Jersey, Harlem, New York, and Chinatown in New York City, Cardiff in Wales, London in England, and Roost in Austria. We'll be giving away our new textbook, Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0. Find out more about these exciting events, and for details on how to attend, go to liveshop.vinitaly.com. Limited spots available. Sign up now. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hello, everybody. My name's Stevie Kim, and this is the Italian Wine Club on Clubhouse. Oh, finally, I see Simone. I see he has a party hat. I was afraid he wasn't going to show up. Ciao, Valentina.
Ciao Stevie, ciao
Come
everybody.
stai?
Sto bene, grazie. I'm well, okay.
Okay, so you guys know the drill. This is called the Ambassador. It's more of a fireside chat with one of our Italian wine ambassadors. Today we have Valentina, for example, and they get to choose their favorite Italian wine producer, and they'll do kind of a Q&A session for about an hour or so. So let me just get straight to the show today. Valentina. Her name is Valentina Severinova, and she's based in Moscow. Are you back in Moscow?
Yes, I'm in Moscow currently. Not so good weather like in Etna in autumn.
Yeah, so we won't talk about the politics because this
Okay,
is a safe
of
place.
course.
But
Yes.
so the weather is it freezing or not? It's kind of freezing in Verona actually today.
Today, no, freezing like something kind 0+1, maybe freezing on weekend, but now no.
Okay, so Valentina, you've interviewed few other producers in the past, right?
Still not. It's my first interview.
Oh, it's your first. I feel like,
Really?
I feel like you are everywhere. You have just been to Etna with the Gita Scolastica, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I was, yes.
Okay, so I see some of our friends down there. Ciao, Paul, Susanna, Cynthia, Anna, Andre, and some people from the office. And then I see other people down there in the audience. So, Valentina, tell me why you have chosen Simone Foti today. I know his father, but I did see Simone when I was down there. I believe it was about a year ago.
Yes, actually, we acquainted in Etna in Taormina Gourmet, and then I went to the winery. Why did I choose Simone? First of all, I liked Ivinieri wines, of course. Secondly, I find it interesting to know what young generation of winemakers has to say to us about Etna now. As third, I always admire such situation, this generational continuity that is common for Italy or other old world wine countries, and still not so common for the country I live in.
Right.
That's the point.
So how did you first discover the wines of Salvo Foti? He's, of course, known as the Alpha of Etna. He started everything, this entire movement of the crazy Etna wines. But how did you get to meet Salvo and the winery at Vinieri?
As soon as I began to explore Etna, of course, I learned about the pioneers, producers, and first it was Benanti, of course, and then I discovered that the enologist who made these wines was Salva Foti, and that he has his own project. And of course, I was eager to taste Vigneri wines. But I was a little bit unlucky that since the wines are not available on the market where I work,
Mm-hmm.
um, really my first tasting of Vino Petra was in Taormina Gourmet at the end of
Oh,
October this
really? You hadn't
autumn.
tasted his wine before?
Really, yes, because we don't have it available on the market, and I never
Aha.
tasted. And actually, we had vertical tasting of Vino Petra from almost the very beginning, yeah, 2002 till last vintages. And that tasting really demonstrated not only the complexity and potential and terroir, but also the difference between vintages, and the wines were really stunning. And next day we went to Evinieri, where I met Simona also, not only Salpa. And
Mm-hmm.
we tasted white wines, and I was embarrassed for the second time. And then I found out good news for me and my followers that Vinieri wines would soon be available in Moscow, in Russia, at the beginning of next year. And that's also why I want to interview Simone and talk about Etna to inspire people waiting for these wines.
Okay, excellent. So, Valentina, this is also part of the VIA community. So, what are the learning objectives? What should we expect to learn from your call with Simone today?
We plan to discuss how to promote Etna wine in the market where wine prices are higher than average. Also, we talk about Etna terroir and what is the future of great wines known from Mount Etna. Would be Etna Rosso or Etna Bianca, and also we plan to discuss about traditional vinification and new approach of vinification used in Etna.
Okay, fantastic. So, listen, Valentina, now I'm going to leave you with Simone, and I will mute myself, and I will come back towards the end of the call to see if there are any questions from the audience, because Elena gave me like 100 Christmas cards to sign, so I'll be doing that while listening to you. Okay? Over to you,
Okay,
Valentina.
thank you. Let me welcome Simone, and I would like to say some words about Simona biography, and then we start the conversation. Simone Foti is Salvo Foti eldest son. He is Catania native, and following in his father's footsteps from an early age, he showed a great interest in viticulture, accompanying his father among vineyards and wineries. After high school and after harvest in California, he attended the prestigious wine school in Burgundy in Bonn and graduated in 2018. He continued also his international experience in Burgundy and other areas of wine growing in France, such as Champagne, Jura, Loire Valley, where he came into contact with the excellence of French enology. Back on Mount Etna, Simone is an active part of the family business Iminieri project, where he deals specifically with the vineyards and wine growing process. In 2021, together with his brother Andrea, he released his own wine, Radica. We discuss it later. It's pure Grenache made from very old wines. So let me welcome Simona. Ciao, Simone. How are you?
Ciao Valentina, all is good, thank you, and you?
Um, I'm okay, thanks. And before we start the wine discussion, I'm curious about who predetermined your professional wine career, your father or mother advices from them, or did you as a teenager decide for yourself that you would make wine? Why wine? Of course, you are son of a great winemaker, but maybe you wanted to be a doctor or football player, for example.
Very important for me was, of course, my father, that I considered also a great teacher for me, because he involved me in his job and his passion from the beginning. I did my first wine trip in Pantelleria, so where I met another good producers very close to our philosophy. The name is Salvatore Ferrandez, and I also met the son. The name is Adrian, that also have the same age and the same passion today, like me. And I never boring to follow my father in his works. He bring me everywhere, especially in most of the consulting he did in the past for many ones. Especially, I started to work in the vineyard because my father explained to me that the first important things before everything is really to understand the vines, to work, and because which is very important for us, that sometimes people forget, but really the wines we do in the vineyard. So we need to take care and have most and lot of experience by the vineyard. And also for me, this became natural, for me to continue the passion and the work. And until now, this passion brings to me to go to study in Burgundy. But every the moment of my life, I every time drink wine, I try to learn more and more as possible, because it's a very important uh, s- work, and gives also the possibility to make um, uh, yeah, this gives really good possibilities to make the best work in the world, and to meet people, to have a lot of culture from many different country. Every kind of trip or something I do is really focused by the enogastronomy. So for sure, my father, for me, was very is very important for that reason of my decision of life.
That sounds really very cool, such a wine passion since childhood. And tell us a little bit the story of your winery. Since 80s, your father worked as an enologist in Benanti and consultant enologist for other wineries also. But how, when the project E Vinieri was born?
Yes. So my father started his wine consulting many years ago. He started with important winery. The name is Benanti, that you mentioned it, in 1985. When in Etna there was not too many wineries, but also his job of winemaker bring him to other different winery in different area of Etna. The one especially where he still to work is Gulfi from Chiaramonte Gulfi. And at the same time, in the beginning, he also started to create a team of workers. And 22 years ago, there was the foundation of I Vinieri. We inspired this ancient association because this association was born in Etna in 4035, And my father discovered the history about this association many years ago. He decided to refound the new association with the important things to continue the oldest way and the tradition of Etna. And for sure, the very difficult part of this work is to adapt the tradition to the new area and check to put some innovation in a good according with the tradition. So today I Vinieri is a team of 30 person, and there are other 5 wineries that work in the same style of us with the same philosophy, because for us it's important to continue and preserve the work of the alberello, and especially to work by autochthon grapes, because the other things is that especially not only in Sicily but in the Italian viticulture at the beginning, there was the new trend about French varieties. Most of the new vineyard, like we know, is that was planted with not autochthon grapes but with Chardonnay or with other grapes, and only from few years more and more the customer want to drink autochthon grapes. And when my father started, this was not easier, because especially when he started to produce wine, people wanted and know only most of the person know only French varieties. So this was very big and important work for try to have more consideration about autochthon grapes. And the Vinieri is an important association also for preserve this kind of traditional way, especially also for the alberello, because the alberello, the bush wine system is a very difficult way of production, because most of the work is by hand. There is no possibility of mechanization, and most of the in Sicily we lost the alberello, and we see more and more new kind of cultivation, like with Guyot, for try to mechanize more and more the vineyard. At the beginning was not really easy approach to my father to try to create a team of person and try to involve the person to work in the vineyard, because when we work with a bush wine system, this means we work 200 days of work for here, so is for hectare. So these are really important time of work, and we need to give um, um, we need to involve the person, because we understand that it's important to try to have more approach by hand, that instead of big tractor, for try to increase more and more the pollution of the environment.
And that we call heroic viticulture, but maybe you are modest and don't like such description. But really, it's like this. And Simona, Etna has, you know, that Etna has a lot of recognition now and become popular in many markets. Key producers like you, due to small production, hard work, they sell wine on a quota basis. Of course, it's normal, but prices for wine are expected to be high, especially in non-European markets. In this regard, what do you think is the right way to promote Etna wines on the market, non-European? For example, what sommelier and people like me should do to convince the producer to taste Etna wines and to make it even more mainstream than now?
This is a good question. What I can say that, of course, Etna was and is an important region viticulture, but we lost a lot of years because at the beginning all of the production of wine on Etna was sold unbottled, and most of this wine was used for sale to outside Sicily. Most we have a historical memory of wine was sold in north of Italy and in French, especially when there was the big problematic with the phylloxera that destroyed. We know many vineyards in Europe, and Etna continued to produce wine because the phylloxera never attacked the vineyard. So today, Etna have the right consideration, and the price became more and more expensive, especially because there is a new trend. Everyone is interested in Etna, so this is normal that there is this kind of situation. Um, of course, Etna is very difficult region, and sometimes we probably we forget that it's an active volcano. So we never know for how many years we can continue to produce wine. So this can be one of the reason why also the wine of Etna can be very expensive. It's not only this reason because there are also many aspects why Etna need to keep important price because like you said before is extreme and also is heroical place for grow the vineyard because we have if we are in Sicily we never consider it in Sicily. For us everything is more complicated because we have the altitude, we have totally different microclimate, different soil, so we can't mechanize. Most of the work is by hand. All of these characteristics, of course, that we need, and we want to preserve because we want to keep the traditional work of Etna. This means. To have a lot of big investment in the vineyard. For example, just for give you an about idea, we the cost for a kilo of grapes that we produce by Alverello, we need to spend about €3 for kilo, and this is a good price for and the most important price for preserve the territory and the way of production. So after this, of course, we need to consider the other big investment we need to do for the production about everything. But we would like to communicate the Etna like that is difficult place and is also we have an important historical tradition with that we need to preserve also by the oldest vines, and we have important patrimonial of oldest vines that is can considered not all but is considered a Prephyloxera vines, and I think yes that is important to promote the Etna and try to invite more and more person to come for understand how is Etna is exclusive and very specific.
Great idea. Next time I need to come with groups of people more and more. Good suggestion. And if we move to the peculiarities of Mount Etna, speaking about terroir, of course, one thing is to study it, and another thing to listen to the conclusions of the winemaker who works on this land. What can you tell about the terroir of the Mount Etna and how it affects the wines? And I guess that the producers of Etna don't like comparisons with Burgundy, of course, but it's fact that in blind tastings, Etna red wines are often confused with Burgundy. Why so? What can you tell about this? You studied in Burgundy. Maybe you uh, have something to comment also from that point of view.
So Etna affects the vines every day because I said before it's an active volcano, and every eruption, especially the explosive activity, gives a lot of ash that arrives in our vineyard. And mm, the ash is representing for us the new life and the new soil, and this is very important because it gives a lot of fertility and a lot of minerals. So the most important part of Etna is, of course, is representing by the soil that arrived directly by the magma, no? And this is something really interesting because we have, especially in Italy, a lot of volcanic area, but the only one where is active and we can grow and work the soil new is Etna. So we don't have a historical or a long life of soil, and this is important because also we feel the energy, we feel there is something really special about our soil. The other characteristic, of course, I said also before, there is is depending by the different microclimate and also the important excursion of the temperatures we have from the volcanoes. Because for us, the volcano don't give only the soil, gives a lot of complexity because each part of volcano is different, and the excursion of the temperature is also something is important, especially where we are, because we grow in the east part of Etna, where we are really close to the volcano, and during the night the temperature go down like 15 degrees, and this help us to keep the freshness and gives also a good acidity in this kind of way. By the comparison with Burgundy, sometimes it's true that we don't want to compare to Burgundy because, of course, we're talking about a totally different kind of soil, because the soil we have on Etna, I mean, is different from Burgundy. Burgundy, we have there is no calcare, so this is the one things because we don't want to compare it to Burgundy. Probably by the taste of the elegance of the Nerello Mascalese, or something like that, we can say is can be similar in these terms, but the important is also for us to the wine because it's natural, no? And not because it's comparable to other places like Burgundy or Boloro. Really, we need to, and I hope by the time, especially but the preparation of the sommelier and the customer that start to drink more and more Etna, when they taste blind, they can arrive to say, okay, I feel this is Etna.
Nice. And you work on the eastern slope and on the northern slope. And could you point out the key difference of these slopes and how it affects the wines? And maybe it's more difficult to work on eastern slope where your winery or northern slope or vice versa.
So yes, so there are two different or more about the different slope of Etna. Where we are, we have our winery is the east part, and also is the best place where we grow Caricante, that is the native grapes of the east part, specific by a small village. The name is Milo. In fact, it's the only village where it's possible to produce the DOC Etna Bianco Superiore. About this, we can consider the difference with the north slope of Etna, and normally we talk about of four important differences. The first is depending by the altitude. In the east part, we are in Milo, 850 meters. Then we have the microclimate that is also specific because we are in the middle by the sea and by the volcano. So in total, we are like imagine 10 kilometers by the Etna and 8 kilometers by the sea. So what happened at Milo is, and the east part is the one where we have more concentration of rainfall. We calculate with our meteo station about 1,500 millimeters, and sometimes in like 2018 we arrived 2000 millimeters. In the north sides we have totally different microclimate and quantity of rainfall, because there we calculate about 800 millimeters of rainfall. So this is very important because the Nerello Mascalese can find the best place and for arrived good maturity, especially because Mascalese is a native grapes. It was born in a village. The name is Mascali, and if you check in the map, Mascali is close to the sea, where we don't have this important concentration of rainfall.
Italian Wine Podcast, part of the Mama Jumbo Shrimp family.
The other important things is, of course, the soil. Milo is by geological territory is totally different by the north part, especially where we have vineyard close to Passo Pisciaro village. Milo was never touched by lava flow, so this means that our soil we have there is mostly sandy, and also Milo was formed by a collision of the Valle del Bove, so the big, most important part of volcanic rocks is really very, very deep. So when you came and you visit us, you can see really in Milo this big difference in terms of soil that is all sandy and is characterized a lot by the ash arrived from Etna. Because we are close to the crater, the southeast, the one is most in activity, so we really received and we have every day new different soil. The north part, where we have Mascalese Cappuccio, is different because it's sandy and superficially we have a lot of volcanic rocks. In fact, we also call this area, we call Calderara, because it's from an ancient crater, and so we have more rocks in the vein. So we can consider the difference from east and north about these four important characteristics.
And Simona, currently red Etna wines are better known and recognized everywhere. And your winery, located as you mentioned on eastern slope in Milo, that it's considered the best white terroir. And what do you think of the future of Etna wines? The great red or white wines from Etna would be more recognized. And what can you tell about Caricante as a variety?
Yes, so by the new trend of Etna white wines, also the new producers, the new trend is to planting Caricante in all different slope of Etna, and by the time probably this can be the Caricante will be the most important grapes of Etna for the future. I don't think this be a good idea, especially because, like I said before, there is for each part of Etna a specific area for the native grapes. In this case, as I say one time more, Milo is representing the best place for Caricante because it's characterized by what we said before in terms of altitude and everything. this is most is depend by really a commercial choice of a new trend about white wine, because Caricante have big potential, and also can be more and more interesting grapes. But we don't need to follow the trend. We need to follow the past, the tradition, and respect also the to respect, yes, the each part of Etna, because in this way we can really work, and we inspirated like to Burgundy, because if we think to Burgundy, we know that there is the right place for the Chardonnay, the right place for Pinot Noir, and they made this by more of 300 years, and they never changed something because there is new trend in terms of white or red. They follow the best terroir, the best place for the grapes. We need to work in this way, because we can't change because there is a new commercial selling, or because there is a new trend. Because after, if the trend finish, you made the wrong choice. So for this, I think is we need to inspire it to French style and work in that way.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, please correct me. You are one of the few wineries, or maybe the only one, using palmento during the vinification process. That means, of course, that you respect tradition very much. And why do you consider it important? And do you always follow that traditional approach in your winery?
We think that the palmento representing for us the historical memories of Etna, and we have the big and important responsibility to continue to use the palmento. We are the only, also because of course make the vinification of palmento is not easy, or not for everyone, especially if you are not origin from Etna, because this is something that we share, and we pass from generation to generation. For us, and I need to say thank you to my father, also to share with me and my brother this tradition, because the palmento today represent also the 100% examples of sustainable way of production. And when we produce something without use of electricity, and only by the use of feet, and by gravity, this represents really the good way to preserve the traditional way. And of course, we tried to continue the quality and keep the quality of the wine by the use, where is possible, of some innovation, for try to give a life of this wine. Because at the beginning, the production of the wine in Palmento was considered and was used for selling all unbottled, and was a wine that had a good conservation, but not for a long time. So I hope also that the inspiration and the palmento can be a style for more and new producers, especially of local producers, because in this way we arrive to give important continuity, and also we can represent the oldest way of Etna.
Okay, Simone, and you released your wine called Radica, which means root. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I organized Etna wine tasting, and we tried this wine with the audience. And this wine was made with semi-carbonic, and it's 100% Grenache from very old wines, ungrafted. And I'm curious about why didn't you make this wine in a classic way?
Okay, well, see, Radica is really a very young project. I started with my brother Andrea, and it's really 2 years ago, because during COVID time we worked more than usually, especially because there was not good possibilities of such a life. And when we had the time to go around Etna, we find very one of my best vineyard I saw in Etna, and this is situated in the northwest part of Etna. Is in Contrada Tartaraci, where we find old vines of Grenache or Alicante, because these grapes arrive in Sicily by Spanish colonization, 16 in the 16th century. And what we don't understand is that these grapes is not considered in the DOC Etna, because fortunately also the vineyard is outside. Our decision with Andrea was really to take care about these grapes and try to give more and more consideration. We recuperated the oldest vines, and the idea was to make a wine, especially with the Grenache, because we follow and we drank a lot of Grenache from different parts of France, and we really like the taste of the Grenache, and we say why we can try a semi-carbonic way. Semi-carbonic means because we don't do all 100% carbonic, but is like 30% all cluster, and the other part of the grapes um, with the stem, because the idea was really to give fruity and to have one wine that is easier to drink during the year, because we would like to have an approach really young and easier, probably for the next vinification, the next vintage, we can make probably two different style of Grenache. One, because we aging just in inox, and we also by during this year that we had the important hot temperature, we arrived to produce a Grenache like 14.5. That was not really low alcohol, but the altitude of this vineyard, that is 1000 meters, gives also the possibility to have a good acidity that gives a good balance, and in the end you don't really taste the important alcohol. So we find that really good balance, and the idea, yeah, is to just press to keep the wine and in inox. The other probably vinification we would like to is also to hedging in barrels for give more light and for check more complexity.
But really, the wine was very, as you told, yes, it was fruity, very fresh, actually. Amazing wine, and we wait for new project from this vineyard. And your site says that your wines are human. Could you please comment briefly what do you mean by that philosophy?
Yes, this is also now another important philosophy we follow by the time. And for us, the human wines is the manifest of our winery, because we think is the right expression of our philosophy. Everyone today use the word natural for everything, but my question is, which is natural in the world of the wine? We would like to talk about human wines, because for us it's important to produce wine in a honestly way, in the respect of our territory, and by the people that work for us, and the people also that in the end drink our wine. So we hope also to find more and more human wines in this world.
And do you have some new projects coming up in the near future in your winery?
Well, I I started to interest from few years by oxidative wine, especially by the Jura wine. I like really the complexity by the to keep the wine under the floor, which started to do also with my brother Andrea, and of course in according with my father to start to make use of caricante in oxidative way because we think that is good way for the conservation of these grapes because I had possibility to drink very oldest caricante was producing from my father by the consulting of with Penanti, but also when we restored the Palmento, where we are, is our oldest Palmento from 1840, we find that Damijan that was conserved like Jura because it was not full. And my father bottled this wine, and this is from the vintage 1989, and we drink it this wine and we say like this is Jura. So after that we say okay, we need to really study more and more about this because it is something really interesting, not because we want to make new Savagnin, but because the idea is really to give new complexity and new life of this grape.
But this is very interesting remark. Unfortunately, I did not have such experience with 1989, as you mentioned. But when we tasted your Vigna di Milo 2016, it's also remind a little bit some hint like Caricanta Jura style. Simona, I see a bit conscious about time and see we have some questions of the audience. That's why I ask you one question from me, and that's it, I think. Do you know I Etna Vineyards 100% occupied now, or there is chance to buy 1-2 hectares of abandoned vineyards and come to your land to study to produce wine?
Yes, of course there are unfortunately a lot of abandoned vineyard around Etna, and it's possible to produce more wine. What I probably hope is to see more and more person people from Etna, from local that decide to produce wine in this open territory, because I think that Etna today is very important. There are a lot of wineries. We count like 400 wineries, but if we check the list of local producers, is not really too much. Most of vineyard was taken by person producers from everywhere. This is also very interesting for us because it gives also good possibility of exchange, and also is gives different approach, and Etna for this is very interesting. But what I would like is really to the people don't emigrate outside Sicily and try to invest more time and the force for make something special in our territory for don't go far away.
Thanks, Simona. I think very good comments from you, and it was a really real pleasure for me to interview and to meet. Of course, we should come back to Etna and your winery. And I give the floor. I see we have some questions from the audience.
Thank you, Valentina. It was a pleasure to me too.
Okay, that's what I do. That's my whole function. I stay on so I can give you a little cheer in the end. We do have one question from Paul Bologna. He says, I remember tasting an incredible sparkling wine at your estate last year. Do you think the category of sparkling wines in Etna will have a future? And then Anna, if you have a question, if you want to be pulled up, let me raise your hand, please, and I'll bring you up onto the stage. Okay, so the question, Simone, was from Paul
Yes.
Bologna. He's in the audience. He came to see you last time. He was part of the
Yeah.
Gita Scholastica
Mhm.
the year past, and he's asking about the sparkling wine.
Okay, so about the sparkling wine, yes, there is a good possibility of new way of production, especially in very high altitude of vineyard. I don't know now because by 2 3 years we started to see an increase of temperature is important. In fact, the Vino d'Ilice, the one we just make sparkling. Was the last vintage 2018 because we decided and we started to make sparkling when we have very low alcohol, and today more and more producers produce sparkling, but is also is depend and we need to identify a right place for do that because um, I think that also the good grapes for make the sparkling is for sure Caricante, and probably to use Nerello Mascalese is not really one of the best grapes for do that because you need to anticipate the maturation for try to have more and more acidity and interrupt the good maturity of the grapes for do something that is not really natural. So well, yes, I think Etna is depend where you are. If you are 1,300 meters or you are 600 meters, so you are at 200 meters, give you the best way, the best condition for makes what you want.
So I see that it's Vino di Lice, è giusto?
Yes, right. Mhm.
Okay. And how many bottles do you produce of this?
Allora, Vino d'Ilice now
Vino di Lice. Okay.
Vino d'Ilice. Yes, it's a little bit complicated, but this name have a meaning because Vino is wine,
Right.
and Ilice means oak because in yes, we say Ilice in Sicilian from the Latin name Quercus ilex, and this means because this vineyard is located 1,300 meters and is in the middle by oak forest. So we say this is the wine we produce in the middle of this forest. And of Vino d'Ilice is a half hectare of vineyard, and most of the vines is oldest, so we never arrive to produce from the oldest vines 1 kilo. So it's every time less. With the plantation my father did in 2006, with the uncrafted wines, we produce a little bit more, but normally the total production every year is about 2,300 bottles. And like I said before, for 4 years, especially the extreme, the most complicated vintage we had on Etna, like 2011, 15, 16, and 18 of this wine, we made the sparkling wine.
Okay.
Metodo
Great.
classico.
Very good. So, Simone, why don't you give us kind of an overview of, you said you make 2,000 bottles of Vino, how do you
Dilice.
say it? One more time.
Vino Dilice.
Vino di Lice. Okay, I'll say that like 20 times tonight. Maybe I'll get it. So you make, I see that you also make a rosé, also Vino di Lice. Is that correct?
Right, is correct, yes.
And how many bottles do you produce of this? And is this Nerello Mascalese?
No, allora, well, so Vino Dilice is the rosé.
Right. And what
And
grape are you using?
allora, this is funny because there we don't have Nerello Mascalese, we don't have Caricante, we don't have Nerello Cappuccio. It's just most of the vines there is Grenache for sure.
Oh, right.
Then
This is the
we
Grenache project. Uh-huh.
no, well, the Grenache project is the same area, but is down. Is 1,000 meters. The vineyard of Vinudilic is 1,300 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And normally, the northwest west part of Etna, you find more Grenache than Mascalese. So I say is Grenache. Then we have Minella Bianca and Minella Nera that is in risk because there are just few exemplars around Etna. We have Grecanico Dorato that is the native grapes, native white grapes of north area, no Caricante. In fact, sometimes happen to speak with few old men and we say, you know Caricante? People know. I know Grecanico, like white grapes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know about Caricante because Caricante was never arrived until now in the north side. Then we have Trebbiano, we have part of Coda di Volpe, so it's really a mix of white and red grapes. What we do is to harvest all in the same time. That for us is the one most difficult vineyard because we never understand when is the best moment for grow and for harvest everything together. And we do a rosé from the vineyard because the idea is really to do the rosé in this way.
So I'm a little confused, Simone. Is it a field blend?
It's
Like
a field
there's an
blend.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
there's a mixture, predominantly Grenache.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it's a field blend. And how many bottles do you make of this?
I said before, yes, around 2,300
Yeah.
bottles.
Okay, so it's very
It's not.
similar to Spumante.
See, with more or less is the same quantity. I mean,
And then you have,
probably.
okay, let's go to the whites, and then you have three. Oh, wait, let's get to Anna's question. She wrote it. Her question is, wines of Etna have a great potential. Do you tend to keep wine in the warehouse a few years before putting them out on the market so that wine lovers would drink it with more pleasure? If yes, how long? So she's asking, if you're aging the wines
Yes.
for a few years before you put it out into the market.
This is for sure is something that we started to do to try to hedging more times possible the wine before to propose to the market. Unfortunately, it's something that we never try to make with lot quantity, especially because this represents for us an important economic investment. But for sure, if we really want to understand and also communicate the big potential of Etna, I think that is the best way to propose all this vintage. And about my, I don't know if it's short or long experience with Etna wines, we really understand that the Carigante, the white grapes in this case, is the one that really have a good potential of life, especially because by the longest acidity and the very low pH is the best natural conservation for the wine. In fact, the most oldest the wine I had the possibility to drink was oldest Caricante.
Yeah, so I think you've touched on this a little bit prior with Valentina. You spoke about this a little bit, but I personally think that, in fact, talking to many wine experts, I think there's a great future for Caricante and because of its aging capability
Mm-hmm.
of white wines in Etna. What is your thought on that?
But you say sorry because I lost
So
one part.
I think there's a big. Everyone, of course, talks about Nerello Mascalese, but I
Mm-hmm.
really think there will be a huge, let's say, a big opportunity for Caricante,
Mm-hmm.
especially because of its aging potential.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah, Caricante have this possibility, but for gives this important conservation, important life, it's important that the Caricante need to remaining in the best and the native place. We can't planting Caricante everywhere just because can be the most important and grapes of Etna, because I said before, really Caricante needs of Milo, of the east part of Etna, because there is a specific microclimate, there is a specific soil, there is a specific altitude, and by the past we know this because we don't find in Milo Nerello Mascalese. We find only Caricante, because Nerello Mascalese after few meters start to have problematic for arrive at the best maturity. So I think it's important to produce every grapes of Etna, the autochthon, in the right place.
Okay. So we have come to a close at the moment, but just one last question. What do you consider your signature wine for I Vigneri, and why?
This is every time a difficult question for us, because each wine is representing different vineyard, different style, and probably the one that is the main important for our philosophy is I Vigneri Rosso, the one we make in Palmento, because it really is representing
Rosso
the
tradizionale.
Rosso tradizionale, yes, that representing the oldest way with the new way, and this really is the photocopy of our idea, our vineyard, and our approach of Etna.
Okay, great. I think we have so many other questions for you. I'm just going to bring on up to the stage Laika. Ciao, Laika. She's our, of course, Clubhouse manager. Laika,
Ciao,
what's going
Stevie.
on? Do we have more interviews this week?
Yeah, one more, second to the last before the year ends.
Okay.
So we've got Michele Longari. He's going to interview Marca Locatelli of Tenuta da Dangoris. I don't know if I pronounced it right. So it's going to be on Thursday at 5 p.m. And then the last is next week on Tuesday, December 20. Jamie Feng will be interviewing Valeria Agosta of Palmento Costanzo at 6 p.m.
Okay, fantastic. So more Etna coming your way.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Simone and Valentina. Great job. And buone feste a questo punto.
You too, grazie.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Ok, salutami tuo padre.
Sì, senz'altro. Grazie di
Ok,
tutto.
ciao
Un abbraccio.
ragazzi.
Ciao, ciao Valentina.
Ciao, ciao,
Ciao.
Simone, grazie.
Snap, sip, sip, and once again, here we go.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.